Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her boundary will ruin her relationship with my baby? I, 30F, recently got married and had my first baby, a sweet little boy who's now 6 months old. This should be the happiest, most exciting chapter of my life, but instead I feel like I'm stuck in the middle of a family conflict that makes no sense. And at the center of it is my younger sister, 24F. To be completely honest, my sister has never liked my husband. Not from the very beginning. And the worst part? She refuses to give me any explanation as to why. When I first introduced him to my family 7 years ago, she was distant and standoffish. At the time, I brushed it off. My sister has always been a bit of a loner. She has very few close friends, doesn't date, and has always preferred her own company over socializing. Even with my past boyfriends, she was never warm or overly welcoming, so I assumed it was just her usual personality showing through. When my husband proposed and we started planning our wedding, I decided to check in with her. I flat out asked if she had an issue with him because I wanted to avoid drama. She told me, "No, he seems nice." That was it. I believed her, and I even asked her to be my maid of honor. She agreed, and I thought that meant everything was fine. But last week something happened that completely shattered that assumption. My husband was dropping off some food at my parents' house. My sister still lives there, and when he went inside, she was in the kitchen. He explained he had something to leave for our parents, and she coldly told him to just leave it in the garage. Even though they were already in the kitchen, he didn't argue. He just picked the food back up and headed toward the door. Trying to be polite, he made a little small talk about the weather as he left. And that's when she completely lost it. She suddenly snapped, swore at him, and screamed, "Don't F asterisk asterisk ing talk to me." Asterisk, then she stormed out, leaving him stunned. When my husband came home, he looked visibly shaken. He recounted the entire interaction, and my first thought, honestly, was that maybe he had accidentally said something off or inappropriate. But he'd only been gone 5 minutes, and knowing him, I couldn't imagine what that would have been. Still, I was rattled. I called my sister immediately to find out what happened. She didn't answer. I texted her, nothing. I tried again later, and still no reply. I only got a response after I basically spammed her phone because I needed to understand what was going on. And her response floored me. She told me she hates my husband. Not just dislikes him, hates him. And that she has hated him since the day she met him. When I pressed her for a reason, she admitted that he has never done anything to her. Nothing inappropriate, nothing rude, nothing offensive. She just doesn't like him and insists she doesn't need a reason for her feelings. She said her one and only boundary is that my husband is not allowed to speak to her at all. Ever. I was stunned into silence. I tried explaining that our family is close-knit. My brother, 29M, and I visit our parents all the time, and we love gathering there for dinners. My parents cherish these moments. But how am I supposed to navigate family events if my husband can't even say hello to her without her exploding? She doubled down, saying she doesn't care and that she's tired of having a stranger in her home. A stranger. After 7 years of being with me, attending our wedding, being part of family gatherings, celebrating birthdays, and now the father of her only nephew. I told her I'd respect her wishes in her home and not send my husband to drop things off anymore, but I also told her the truth. If she refuses to acknowledge him, it will eventually affect more than just their awkward interactions. It will affect her relationship with my son. Because realistically, how can she build a bond with my baby if she openly hates his dad? My husband has already said he's uncomfortable with her being around our son if she despises him so much. And I can't blame him. I don't want my child growing up with an aunt who might treat him differently or poison him against his father. That's not fair to him. It also breaks my heart for my parents. This is their first grandchild, and they adore him. They ask to see him constantly, but this rift with my sister could limit how often we go over. My mom has already said she's going to talk to my sister, but so far my sister has been dodging that conversation. My dad is recovering from a recent heart attack, and while he told me not to stress and that it will blow over, I can't shake the feeling that this won't just disappear. When I tried to explain all of this to my sister, that her boundary doesn't exist in a vacuum, that it will ripple out and affect her nephew and the rest of the family, she blew up at me again. She accused me of trampling her boundary, playing the victim, and making her look like the bad guy. She said all she wants is peace in her home, and if that means never interacting with my husband, then so be it. But from where I'm standing, her version of peace looks a lot like chaos for the rest of us. For context, my husband is one of the kindest people I know. He was genuinely hurt by her words and has been second-guessing every interaction he's ever had with her. My sister has always had a temper. She's snapped at me many times before over little things, even accusing me of things that weren't true, like stealing her shoes once, only to find them later in her own car. But this feels different. This feels permanent. My parents are caught in the middle. My mom is frustrated with her, but doesn't want to push too hard, and my dad is too fragile right now to take on extra stress. So here I am, torn between protecting my husband and child, supporting my parents, and trying to reason with a sister who seems determined to hate someone for no reason. Am I the a-hole for telling her that her so-called boundary won't just affect her, but will destroy her relationship with her nephew, and possibly strain her bond with the entire family?